You are listening to KSG Podcast. This is a short, crisp, concise, and exam oriented edited editorial for civil services aspirants. Here we are going to talk about G7's answer to Belt and Road. Source for the content is The Economic Times. A plan by the group of seven nations to counter Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative has been welcomed by countries in China's immediate orbit of influence but will need to overcome doubts about Western commitment to emerging market projects. The Build Back Better World Initiative, or B3W, was promoted at the G7 summit in the UK but remains light on details and is not expected to become a reality for some years. The push, however, is seen as a challenge by the world's richest democracies to China's growing influence in developing economies using infrastructure investment. While Asian governments say they are open to working with developed nations to meet their growing infrastructure needs, a challenge for B3W will be matching the speed at which China has been able to engage developing economies in the region. At the same time, B3W's multilateral nature would make it a more complex and potentially slower moving initiative than BRI. The B3W plan involves the G7 and its allies using the initiative to mobilize private sector capital in areas such as climate, health and health security, digital technology, and gender equity and equality. Indonesian Deputy Foreign Minister Mahendra Siregar said the country has several projects that would be open to co-investment and was ready to intensify engagement with developed nations. However, the country's coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Indonesia's main point of contact for BRI projects, said developed nations would need to shake off their past reluctance to commit to local development. While China is among Indonesia's biggest investors, the country has mostly opted for Chinese finance delivered on a business to business basis rather than state backed investment or through BRI initiatives. The most high profile BRI project in Southeast Asia's largest economy is the Jakarta Bandung high speed railway that is facing cost overruns. More than 100 countries have signed agreements with China to cooperate in more than 2,600 BRI projects worth $3.7 trillion. Beijing said last year that about 20% of BRI projects had been affected by the pandemic. China has also scaled back some plans after several countries sought to review, cancel, or reduce commitments, citing concerns over costs, erosion of sovereignty, and corruption. But despite international concerns about China's growing influence, analysts and policymakers expect Asia's long term development needs to trump politics. The Asian Development Bank in 2017 estimated developing economies in the region would need to spend $1.7 trillion a year on infrastructure through to 2030 to sustain growth. Philippines Economic Planning Secretary Carl Shua said his country remained open to engaging in a range of partners that have good infrastructure experience, including Japan, China, South Korea, Europe, and the United States. The fact is, we have a big gap in infrastructure, which we have started to fill up vigorously in the past 5 years, and we will continue to do so. Roland Raja, an economist at the Sydney based Lowy Institute think tank, said while countries would in most cases be able to choose between China or Western support without major political repercussions, certain sectors could be more problematic. For sensitive infrastructure such as telecoms and strategically located ports, however, it will continue to be either or and they'll be under pressure to make the right choice. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. To join KSG India courses and to crack the IELTS exam, visit ksgindia.com. You can also get a PDF of this podcast on ksgindia.com. Thanks for listening.